Hey everybody, welcome back to Nerd News Today. I'm Matthew, and once again, it's time to take a trip to PowerTown, because today we're taking a look at the PowerTown wrestling figure of Kerry Von Erich. Kerry is no stranger to wrestling fans. He is a legend. His family was legendary as well. And it's about time we had an excellent toy to commemorate him. Now, there are versions of Kerry Von Erich out there already. You can get the classic Hasbro figure, and Mattel did a version of him as well. But PowerTown, I feel like, is going to do a lot more justice to him than those other companies had already. So let's go ahead and take a look at our Kerry Von Erich. And first things first, let's talk about this box here, because I really like the PowerTown packaging. Something about it, it's not just only that it's collector friendly, it's also just really nice to look at, and frankly, it feels kind of luxurious compared to other wrestling toys out there. You look at Defining Moments packaging, you look at like the Ultimate Editions, and they're all fairly nice, but they're all still kind of similar, just different shape, same execution. But with the PowerTown figures, you're getting something a lot classier, it feels like. And what I think really classes it up is the fact that the front has a magnetic clasp that lets you open it up and see a whole lot more inside. So on one side, you've got to look at the figure from head to toe with all of its entrance gear, its additional accessories, including its awesome WCWA Championship belt. And then on the opposite side, we have this very lengthy bio. This is like Wikipedia sized right here. You're not going to find this from any other toy company out there. Only PowerTown is doing something as long as this, and very well written, I should add that. The front of the box here, besides that clasp, it just has this great image of the toy, and a fun thing about these toys also is if you actually open up just a little bit, it kind of reveals itself as like extended artwork, so it's actually going from like one side to the other. I think that's a pretty cool feature to have. And on the back of the box, you have a picture of the figure loose with his entrance gear on and with it off, and just giving you some ideas about how it's going to look, as well as a peek at who else is in Series 1 of these PowerTown wrestling figures. So that's all I think I need to say about this packaging. Let's go ahead and get our PowerTown Kerry Von Erich out of the box and into the ring. And here is our Kerry Von Erich out of the packaging now. What a specimen this wrestler is, and what a toy this is as well. So you'll notice, of course, right now his entrance gear is not on. I've actually already taken it off here, but I'll make sure I show it to you guys. So this is his varsity jacket that he comes with over here. It is made from soft-ish rubber, and it's got really nice detail. Like, it's got some great texture on it, really great paint job as well. I really do enjoy how well it came together. And there really is a ton of detail in this. And I should add too, it's not just like one flat color. There is some weathering in this too to give it some extra depth. It's really great. It's a great piece. And you can see right there, it's got the Von Erich Country logo on the back, which looks really nice. Wonderful looking logo there. The reason I already took it off is because I wanted to test it before I was doing things. And I want to tell you guys that it did take a little bit of work to get this jacket off. Not a ton, but a little bit. And definitely a little bit more than the Madam TA figure. So for this one, really my recommendation is to take it one arm at a time and pop Kerry's hands off as well as you do it, and then it shouldn't be too bad to take it on and off. But yeah, just to save some time, I wanted to already take this off for you guys and just get into the figure itself. So once again, I am having a little bit of an issue getting some of their toys to stand up straight. For whatever reason, PowerTown figures, they just can have a tough time standing up sometimes. Don't know why. One of my commenters mentioned in my previous videos with Bruiser Brody and Stan Hansen that you can get museum wax, I should say, and that would do the trick more or less. Like, that would definitely help you guys out here a lot. But for me, you know, we shouldn't have to be jumping the extra mile to do things like that. So I don't know what the solution is, if there is one. It's just something worth noting that my figures have all had a little bit of issues here and there. And fact is too, these toys don't have pegs at the bottom of their feet, so you know, getting them, there's no bases you can put them on. So getting them to stay in place, it's not impossible, it just takes a little bit of extra work to do it. But it is worth the effort because they look great once they're posed and everything like that. So looking at his body as well, this is excellent. This has got Kerry's amazing physique. That part's great, but let's talk a little bit more about his head. The sculpting job on this Kerry Von Erich is just outstanding. This is a perfect likeness again. You know, that's the only thing you can say about PowerTown is they've had no issues with their likenesses. They've all just been really amazing. And you got to keep in mind, these aren't head scans. These aren't like, you know, Mattel or Jazzverse is doing like scans of these guys. These are literal head sculpts. Someone's designing this by hand from reference material and photos. So yeah, to pull off this kind of level of detail without a scan, it's just so great. And you don't really see that in wrestling toys as much because of the nature of how they're made. So it's nice to see, you know, these kinds of figures being out there and showing that not everything needs to be scanned to get that lifelike look. So yeah, great likeness. Just, yeah, it absolutely looks like the man. It's great. It's so good. The chin, the lips, the eyes, the nose. I have to throw a little bit of extra, I have to tip my hat also to the 5 o'clock shadow he has for a beard as well. Just really wonderful work on that face. And the hair too. That's one of the important parts of Kerry Von Erich, and that hair is great. I think the hair is like one of the things that they've just nailed every time with all these figures. And Kerry Von Erich, once again, continuing that trend. And again, to the body, from no matter what angle you look at, it's Kerry Von Erich. Like that is his muscular physique. It looks great. Like this is wonderful. You know, and this is kind of what I wanted more than, you know, like Mattel could pull off. Like this is what I'm looking for in a toy. You know, these older wrestlers, you know, old school wrestlers, I should say, they had a different kind of physique, and PowerTown is pulling that off. Like these feel larger than life. These feel like big, strong, big wrestling guys, and that's kind of what I wanted with a lot of my wrestling toys. And we don't get it because of the molds that they use or whatever. You know, not really entirely a slight to Mattel. It is what it is just because of the size and the scale and everything. But these PowerTown figures, they look big. Like, you know, in some ways, they feel like a Storm Collectibles toy as well. So very nice to see them kind of like have all this great muscle detail. And I believe for the most part, all 6 figures in this wave have had different bodies as well, which, you know, I'm sure at some point they're going to need to start recycling some of them. But regardless, you can see that there's a lot of variation already and great attention to detail just in their anatomy. Now let's talk articulation here, which is unfortunately one of the downfalls of the PowerTown figures. So the head can rotate. Oh, his head's very loose. Like, I couldn't do that before with other figures. Yikes. I mean, it's not like loose, like it's terrible bad, but it's definitely loose, and you can see the full range of motion when I just did that and did a little exorcist head spin. And now he's spitting up his pea soup everywhere. Shoulders are ball jointed. These are, talk about stiff, these are definitely a little bit stiff here. But yeah, you got ball jointed shoulders. You have a bicep swivel here on both arms. The elbows can bend, but very limited. You're not going to get a great range of motion on that. That's basically about it here. Like, that's the most that they're going to be in, and this is the most they're going to extend out. So very limited range of motion there. The chest has some mobility, but not a ton. Same with the waist. Very, very stiff. It should move, but it's stiff. Now, the nice thing about all these PowerTown figures is that their legs are just like crazy flexible. You know, this is Kerry Von Erich doing a full-on split. Or you can make him like Chun-Li and do his upside-down bird kick. But yeah, the articulation there is wonderful. I mean, if you want to pull off a super kick, I mean, like, yikes. You know, AEW wishes they can get their figures to do this. So yeah, that's really good. There is no thigh swivel, but there is a knee joint that's not moving much because of this knee pad at the moment. And again, very stiff. You can already see that the boots can swivel around, and the ankle has some articulation as well. So it's not really the best articulation out there. It just kind of gets the job done. PowerTown's made it clear that their figures are meant really to be posed, and it's a shame because, you know, I'd love to do more figure photography with them. It's just that their bodies don't really allow it. So it is kind of a little bit of a, you know, pick your poison. Do you want something that's going to look really great and more statuesque, or do you want something that you can take photos with and pose and maneuver? PowerTown's not about maneuverability or agility. It's all about statue-style toys. And that's, you know, kind of a personal preference. I don't mind it here, though, in this case, but there are some things I would like to maybe see them improve upon. But, you know, we'll see how these unfold in the next wave of toys that they do. Now, as far as accessories go, we already saw the jacket that Kerry came with, and we already took it off him, but that's that. So in addition to that, he has 2 other hands, and one of them is actually on him right now. So this is his Von Erich claw hand. That's so you can see right here. And it's a very big claw hand. And the reason I've saved this right now is because it actually goes into the articulation, because unfortunately, one of the also bad points about the PowerTown figures are the wrist joints. These wrists are pretty bad. So besides them being a fairly small peg, which you can see right there, it's a very tiny peg, which means that the hands will fly off quite often if you're doing poses or even just hold them up straight or whatever. But yeah, the way the joint is, it's not like a Mattel or an AEW figure. It's just this joint that you can see right here, and all it does is go back and forth. Now, yes, you can rotate the hand on both hands, but getting it into certain poses becomes very difficult, and you kind of have to rely on the hand to do that flexing to get it into poses, and it just looks wrong. And, you know, like, it's very bad. The wrists are awful. That is something that absolutely needs to be addressed in future waves, because it's pretty darn bad. But besides that, that claw hand is one of his other hands. His other hand that is unique to him would be a closed fist. And I say unique, but, you know, I think the other figures came with closed fists as well, so not that unique. But at least he has a closed fist, so you can do some punching or do some more posing, whatever you want to do with him. But there's the closed fist hand. It looks really nice, too. Now, he also comes with a hand that's similar to the one that's on his left one right now, just flipped for the right. But yeah, his 2 unique hands are this closed fist and the Von Erich claw, so that's all there. Now, last but not least is the accessory that I think most of us really wanted to get with this toy, and that would be the championship belt that he comes with right here. This is the World Class Wrestling Association Heavyweight Championship belt. It's a pretty awesome title. You know, this is one that you've seen a lot of in photos with Kerry Von Erich. It's a very iconic title for him, and we now have it in toy form for the very first time ever, I should add, too. And the detail is great. I mean, this is absolutely on par, if not better, than what Mattel's doing. Definitely, I think, you know, again, on par, if not better, than what Jazzwares is doing, too. This is some great stuff here. Just a wonderful work of the medallions. Solid painting, no slop, no mess-ups. Just looks excellent. Now, the one biggest difference between these belts is that you can see better from behind here. The straps are very small. These are small straps, and they look kind of funny because really, you know, you can see the front medallion and then the side plates, and then it just goes to this little itty bitty strap here. So, you know, for whatever reason they're doing that, I guess it might just be part of how their clasping system works here. It's a unique choice, but not a bad choice, to be completely honest, because you're really not necessarily going to be seeing them from the sides too much with the belt on. So, you know, from head on, all that kind of matters is this. Would I prefer the detail to be across the entire belt? Yes, I would. But as a cost-cutting measure, if it helps keep these toys these toys staying at $50, but if it helps keep these figures down in the $40 range and not jumping to the $50 range, sure, we'll go for it. So let's go ahead and put this belt on him right now and show you how that looks. And it's pretty easy to get your guy wearing the belt. It straps on with really no issues. That's kind of the nice thing about this clasping system, is these guys do fit really fairly simply. And I should add here too, a nice thing about Kerry Von Erich is his strap is a lot smaller than some of the other toys we looked at, you know, like the Hansen and the Brody and even the Magnum TA. His strap is a lot smaller, so I think we can actually get this belt comfortably on a Mattel figure and it won't look that weird. But there is our Kerry Von Erich right now wearing his belt, and that looks great. And like I said, you know, from the front angle, it looks fine. If you turn to the side or the back, it's going to look awful. But, you know, from the front section, that's perfect. They absolutely nailed it. And that belt really is just so wonderfully done. But I want to try something else right now also, because after all, this is Kerry Von Erich. This is the Texas Tornado. I've got right here a Mattel Intercontinental Championship belt. This is the classic IC title. Let's see how it fits and if it fits on our Kerry Von Erich, because the other figures cannot wear the belts. And again, nope. This is also not going to fit on him, unfortunately. So that's about as good as it's going to look. But I'm not done yet. I have one last little trick up my sleeve. That's this belt right here. This came from Forbidden Figurines. This is their Classic Intercontinental Championship title. Now, granted, this is the one with the red logo, which is, I think, more like the era of what Macho Man would wear when he was that champion. But yeah, this is her version of the belt, and it's a gorgeous rendition. And yes, it absolutely fits on Kerry Von Erich perfectly. You know, the one thing about the Forbidden Figurines belt is that, you know, admittedly, she made them a little bit bigger just to fit more details and things on them. So they always would look a little bit bigger on the Mattel figures, but since these PowerTown figures are technically not really the same scale as Mattel or AEW figures, they're actually more in line with the size of these figures. So it looks perfectly on Kerry Von Erich, and even from the back too, you can see just the great detail it's put into there. But yeah, so if you got any Forbidden Figurines belts, now's the time to start breaking them out, because these PowerTown figures are the ones that fit them. I'm going to keep that belt on him for now just because it looks so good, but let's do some figure comparisons right now. I've got an Ultimate Edition Macho Man Randy Savage, and I also have an AEW Unmatched, or possibly Unrivaled, I don't remember which one it is, but it's an AEW Kenny Omega figure, one of the fairly earlier releases. And so you can kind of see how they are as far as scale goes, and now you know what I'm talking about with those belts, because while PowerTown does tout them as being in scale with Mattel's and AEW figures, I mean, they are, but they aren't. The back of the box even tells you, in fact, that these are actually 7-inch scale figures, so that is slightly bigger than these AEW and WWE figures, because those are actually meant to be closer to like the 6-inch or 6.5-inch range. That's kind of their scale. They are 112 figures, and Kerry Von Erich, he's closer to like 110, and really the entire line is all kind of closer to like 110, but it's not that far off. But that said, I mean, you can see here, this Kerry Von Erich, he looks way taller than Macho Man, and of course he looks way buffer, and likewise too with Kenny Omega. You know, I think the AEW figures tend to run a little bit taller too, and you know, again, body-wise, I don't think Kenny Omega is going to look that shriveled up next to Kerry. And Kerry's a big guy, and definitely bigger than Kenny Omega, but still, you know, size-wise, he looks way more imposing here. So that's a side-by-side comparison with these figures. But as I mentioned, I did want to try on his belt on someone else here. I wanted to try his WCWA Championship belt, so we're going to try that on Macho Man right now. So here's the belt. It looks amazing, of course, and it looks like this one should fit a little bit better, maybe? You know, the other belts were enormous. This strap doesn't look quite as big. Okay, yeah, it actually is fitting on Macho Man. I can tell you, it's on the very last rungs, but it's fitting him, so there you go. It looks enormous, but you know what? As a World Championship belt, it's kind of okay if they look enormous. So that actually fits. Again, I will stress that the belts that Bruiser Brody and Stan Hansen came with, they were way bigger. This one's actually not bad. And I think even Magnum TA's belt should fit too if you have that figure. And you know, you can take a look at that review if you want to see more about it. I think that one's a lot longer, but fact is, it's actually on Macho right now. It's staying, it's pretty decent. So there you go. Finally, one of these figures that are not from PowerTown that can actually wear the championship belts and look good doing it. So final thoughts on this PowerTown Kerry Von Erich figure. Again, I think this is another real star in this first wave here. Definitely not my favorite, but definitely an excellent figure nonetheless. No matter what angle you're looking at him from, the likeness is great, the body is amazing, that physique is just so good. It really is unrivaled to anything that Mattel or AEW has done. That's for damn sure. So marvelous likeness, great physique, and really, really awesome championship belts. Like, these belts are great. But the pitfalls here, once again, are the articulation or lack thereof. I don't really know what PowerTown's going to do about that, if anything, just because they've already said they kind of don't want their figures to be, in the same kind of area as an Ultimate Edition or even an Elite with their articulation. They're kind of more focused on just getting them standing up as a collectible. And I understand that. So, it's a personal preference thing. I, of course, would love to have more articulation, but I also don't mind entirely too much that they can't move that much either. Great detail on the boots. Unfortunately, his trunks and his knee pads are just one solid blue color. Not really much to talk about there, but still the paint job is very even across the board. The details are there when they need to be there, and that makes this a real standout figure. So again, if you missed out on any of these PowerTown figures, and I do think you have missed out if you didn't get them, make sure to follow PowerTown on social media, because they have announced that once they're done fulfilling all the orders and also dealing with any quality control issues that would require replacements to be sent out to purchasers, then they're going to put up the remaining inventory for a final sale of Wave 1. And that's going to be your last chance to get these figures without having to pay eBay prices for them. So don't miss out on that. Definitely jump on that as soon as they put those up for sale. If you missed out on any of the figures that Mattel has done of Kerry in the past, and keep in mind too, with the upcoming movie about Kerry Von Erich coming out, I think this toy is going to be very, very hot. And really any merchandise with Von Erich is going to start going up in price. So don't miss out, because really this might be the best representation of him in figure form, period. And yeah, no, he totally is. So absolutely grab him if you need him. So that's our look at the PowerTown Wrestling Wave 1 Kerry Von Erich action figure. Let me know what you guys think about him in the comments below. So until next time, I'm Matthew. This has been Nerd News Today. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you're a new viewer here, and don't forget to like it as well. And until the next video, keep hitting those ropes hard, and watch out for the claw.